Fight your rival!
Hadouken!
Falcon! Punch!
Are you okay?
You're listening to Rivalcast Media.
You win!
The group of pugs were getting ready to disband, demoralized after wiping the difficult crash pass. They gave up hope that a competent tank would ever arrive. As they were about to disband, a shimmer of hope materialized before them. A mighty Tauren warrior, decked out in the latest here, summoned from the queue as if to answer their prayers. He surveyed the party and immediately took leadership unlike they had never seen before. Alright, listen up. CC your targets, do not let them break. Rogue, Sap X. Hunter, Trap Square. Mage, Sheep Moon. Pulling. The dark horse of World of Warcraft podcasting. This is Sheep Moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of Draenor, it is 6 p.m. in the middle of the United States of America! Yeah! And it's finally time for Sheep Moon right here on the Rivalcast Media Network. Hi, I'm DTD, and finally, the tank has come back to Twitch TV! That's right, welcome to our first episode back on Twitch in like 2 years. It's been a while. It has been a while, but it is glorious. So, I made some changes. Not really, I actually haven't changed anything with the show. But I made a pretty little overlay, so now you guys can see the wonderful topics we're going to talk about, and you can scold me if I miss any of them. You can see the social experiment, you can see the chat room. It's amazing. It is awesome. So, yeah, it's good to be back on Twitch. I love Twitch. I really do like Twitch. I watch it a lot more these days. There's a lot of streamers that I pay more attention to, and I'm starting to stream more. And I could potentially be streaming a lot more in the future if certain things happen, good or bad. We'll see, but, yeah. So, because of Twitch, because now we have Twitch available, there is a couple of changes that we are going to do. Number one, you will now be able to watch VODs of Sheep Moon on YouTube, youtube.com/rivalcastmedia. Or you can go to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/rivalcastmedia, and check them out on there. It's really no different than the audio one, except you can check out the overlay, you can see what chat's saying during the show. It's kind of cool. Or it's a little bit easier to watch if, like, you're on a cell phone or something like that. So, yeah, it's very good. Just another way for you to listen to me ramble about nothing. It's kind of good. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, my Sam's still skipping. I'm still using Sam because I love using it for, like, the music and the sounders and stuff. It's just really convenient. I just gotta figure out why it's skipping like that. You really don't hear it on the podcast feed very much, but on this you will hear it, and it is kind of annoying, actually. So, yeah. There are some updates coming for the show. Mostly visual stuff. The overlay that you're seeing right now, if you're watching it on YouTube or if you're watching it live, this is literally thrown together in roughly a half hour. So, we got a new overlay in the works. There will be webcam eventually. I just need a new webcam because mine's busted. And we actually have some special projects going on. Namely, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now. Now I don't know the ETA for these. Okay, these are just kind of in the works, and we'll roll them out as they're done. But we're working on video intros for the show and for Guardian Forums, because those are like the two biggest intros / sounder things we have. So that's coming in the future someday, soon TM. Yes, you'll be able to see me pick my nose in real time, Haster. It's gonna be glorious. God, if I ever pick my nose on a webcam, I will be so embarrassed. I don't know about that. But anyway, enough rambling. Welcome to Twitch. Welcome to Sheep Moon on Twitch. And, yeah, we have some things to talk about this week. Some stuff I made up, really, on as I tend to do on slow news weeks. But what do we got to talk about today? Well, the anniversary event has been extended because apparently there was some sort of miscommunication or something. And nobody... We'll talk about that. Also, Imperator Margok was released in LFR difficulty today. And I actually had a chance to do it before the show. Mostly because I put my car in a ditch. So I couldn't go to work today. But enough of that. Winter is here. Thank you. Thank you, Sean Bean from Game of Thrones. Winter's finally here. You gave us warning. We knew about it. It shouldn't be a surprise. But I drive a Mustang, and those cars are horrible in the snow. Horrible. So that's really my own fault. Also, raid progress for the guild nailed it, and moving on to Mythic mode. Some distinct changes that you may not be aware of if you were not raiding at that difficulty. We'll talk a little bit about that, and some of the extra stresses that it can put on you. And finally, the one, the only Guardian of the Forums. And we have some delicious posts today. But first, there's something we like to do on the show. Something that's been, kind of a staple. It's a social experiment.
Good news, everyone! I think I've perfected a plague that will destroy all life on Azeroth!
Email your responses, sheepmoonblog@gmail.com. Tweet me at sheep_moon. I would say PM me, but now that we're in Twitch chat, it doesn't exactly allow for PM. So the best way today, until we get it figured out, is Twitter, sheep_moon. Email sheepmoonblog@gmail.com. Hit me up on Skype at Kolemsai, KOLEMSAI, or hit me up on Battle.net, DTD number 1339. Let me know your answer to this question after I sneeze. Oh, Lord. All right, I hit the mute button fast enough. Yay me! Your ears are safe. Today's social experiment question is a very simple one, yet should be a very popular one. What is your all-time favorite quest line in World of Warcraft? From Old World, from New World, from Draenor, from BC, from Northrend, anywhere. What is your all-time favorite quest line? I want to know. sheepmoonblog@gmail.com, or the, aforementioned ways to get a hold of me. I'm not a hard guy to find, guys, really. It's really not that bad. I would say PM me, but again, can't. Sorry. I mean, I guess you could send me a message in Twitch, I guess. But don't send it to Rivalcast. Send it to D2D. That's too confusing. Let's just leave that one out, okay? Just do it the other ways. Twitter, Skype, Battle.net, email. That's fine. We'll go over them all today. Already got a ton of responses for this question, so yeah, it's gonna happen. But first, the email curse has been broken. Yes, yes, yes. Time for this.
Mail time.
The mail's here!
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
I didn't have a new sounder this week. I apologize. But that was one of my favorites. So, thank you, Biomed Alchemist, for providing all of the mail sounders. If you got one you want to make, just let me know, because they're cool. We have a couple emails. First one comes in from our good friend, Haster. He says, Dear Guardian of the Four Ums. Did I actually say last week? Oh, for shame. For shame. I was tooling around my garrison trying to catch that evil demon Pepe, whatever his name is. I actually don't have that guy in my garrison, so I have no idea. Anyway, in the act of stealing from me. I know he's taking items out of my box of resources, but I can't catch him in the act. I thought I'd be clever to try to catch him by hiding behind a new portal of my own devising. Unfortunately, the fell incantation did not work correctly, and the portal sucked me in. I was floating in what appeared to be a sea of stars and blacked out. When I awoke, I was surrounded by several little green men, all with the last name of Kerman. I can only surmise that the levels of inbreeding amongst these misshapen murlocs has removed their webbed fins. They suggest that they can get me back to Azeroth, but it will take a rocket to get there. I have looked at this rocket and think that the Goblin engineers could do a less disastrous explosive device. I hope this letter finds you as it leaves me, with sanity and my health intact. Haster, on the continent of Kerbin. I like these little RP emails. They're cool. Okay, I'm really bad at RP. Like, horrifically bad, so I don't know how to respond to you, Haster. Merry travels and safe flights, and don't eat the peanuts on the rocket, because they probably smell like gasoline. Yeah, and buy a cat, I guess. I know you're a warlock and everything, but, I mean, a domesticated house cat should take care of a puny little bird, you would think, right? Right. I don't know what to do with my hands. Sorry. That's the best I can come up with. Thank you, Haster. I would love to do, like, more role-playing stuff. I just don't have the time, nor do I have the... I don't want to say it's the ability, because I probably could RP. I actually tried RPing for a while, and it didn't last very long. But that could be my own fault, because I kind of stopped playing it. But I would like to do something. I would like to make, like, a Sheep Moon rolling short story or something. You know how they do on the forums where, like, one person writes a paragraph, and then the next person goes on and on and on and on? Yeah, that'd be cool. We could do that. We could read it on the show. Oh my god. New segment. Okay, so here we go. Just off the top of my head, right? So, somebody, I don't care who, anybody, can start a thread in the Sheep Moon forums for the RP story, right? And make it about, well, let's say the Guardian. Let's make a story about the Guardian, right? And write one paragraph, a couple sentences, nothing huge, and then let's just keep building on it. And then we can have a glorious story of our favorite mascot. That'd be cool, right? That would be cool. Oh, that was inspired by Haster playing way too much Kerbal Space Program. Bubba Caleb actually bought that for my son for Christmas, and he freaking loves it. Of course, okay, an 8-year-old decides that the first spaceship he wants to build is going to be shaped like a penis and named it Dong. I don't know what that says about me as a parent, but I laughed. I thought it was hilarious, especially coming from an 8-year-old. I could be a bad parent for that. I don't know, but, I've just come to the realization that kids are exposed to that kind of thing younger and younger and younger, and as long as they're not being really blatantly over the line with it, I don't really see that much of a problem, honestly. But that's just me. That's just me. The next email comes in from Trick Nickel. He says, late entry, but my main theme song from last week is Here We Are Juggernaut by Coheed and Cambria. I've actually heard of that band, but I can't place the song. Good luck on the first Sheep Moon on Twitch from Trick. And he actually posted a response to today's social experiment as well, which we will save for later. Thank you. I hope it goes well. I don't think it's going terrible yet. We're like, 15 minutes into the show? We got a lot of time to mess this up, guys. A lot of time, don't worry. But thank you very much for the emails. I love getting emails every week. Even weird RP ones based off of Kerbal Space Program. Awesome. Don't let my giggles fool you, Haster. I really enjoyed it. It's awesome. So send me stuff. sheepmoonblog@gmail.com. Email me some things because they're fun and we like them, okay? Yeah. But with enough of that rambling out of the way, it's time for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Yes. it is time to talk about World of Warcraft stuff. First item on the docket today is the 10th anniversary event has been extended. This comes to us from the front page of MMO Champion, along with some hotfixes we may talk about too. Well, we'll see. But the post goes like this. The WoW anniversary event ended a bit earlier than intended, so to make up for that lost time and any inconvenience, we're going to be re-enabling it for an additional week. The events, including the level 100 Molten Core raid, will be available again from January. God, what happened? My body. Okay. Weird. I really don't know what's going on with Sam. It's really bugging me. We'll have top men work on it. Anyway, the events, including the level 100 Molten Core raid, will be available again from January 6th at 10 a.m. Pacific until January 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific. Basically, a lockout word for North America, and the 13th for European. You can see the updated event dates and times in the in-game calendar. Look for this and other hotfixes in the 6.0.3 hotfixes blog as it's updated, which was updated yesterday. So, here's the thing, right? We've had this anniversary event for, 2 months? I have seen very, very few people still doing it. Because, A, Molten Core was just a horrible, horrible LFR raid. I mean, say what you want about Molten Core. I personally think the place is boring as hell. But I didn't rate it in vanilla, so I don't have those rose-tinted glasses that come from the vanilla purists that say, oh my god, 40-man Naxxramas, or 40-man Naxxramas, that actually was a good raid, but 40-man Molten Core was the greatest raid of all time. Blah, 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 blah. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Anybody, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, anybody who thinks that Molten Core is the greatest raid ever made has the thickest rose-tinted glasses ever. Like, they can hit targets through telescopes, they're so thick. Molten Core, while being good at the time, the raid game has evolved so much over 10 years that Molten Core is little more than a 5-man these days. In fact, 5-man bosses have more mechanics than Ragnaros did. Now, I'm not saying that at the time it wasn't revolutionary. It definitely was. But I'm saying that if you're still comparing Molten Core as the greatest raid ever made to the likes of stuff we have today, like, maybe not High Maul. High Maul's more advanced than Molten Core, like, ever will be. But with the likes of, like, Naxxramas 40-man, not the crap Wrath one we got. Ulduar, Ice Crown, Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight, you're saying that those raids are worse than Molten Core? I'm calling BS on that. I sincerely am. It's gotta be rose-tinted glasses. But then again, that's just my opinion. But you have to look at how raids have advanced over the years. Throne of Thunder, one boss, Darumu. Let's just take Darumu as an example, because he might be arguably one of the most complicated bosses in Throne of Thunder. Darumu by himself has more mechanics than half of that entire raid does. So, maybe those people just liked simpler raids back then, or maybe they don't raid anymore. I mean, that's of course certainly possible. They just don't raid anymore, and that's fine too. But I'm hard pressed, especially after this LFR toboggle, because they didn't change anything in Molten Core. All the mechanics are the same as they were back in vanilla. And it's still 40-man. And as we've seen from this LFR, you know how wrong a 40-man raid can go, especially when we have this mentality that we have today. That, oh my god, bum rush in, AoE, everything down. It's like we went back to Wrath mentality for LFR. Which, okay, LFR difficulty is probably as easy as Wrath Heroics. I'll give him that. But you can't do that in a raid tuned to current level in Molten Core. Because, as we know, you could go to the Corehound room and just wipe for hours because people don't know what the hell they're doing. And it's annoying as crap. It really is. So, with that in mind, I could give a rat's ass if they brought back Molten Core. I really could. I mean, I technically I could go in there and get the helm on, like, my rogue, but I already got a helm out of LFR, so I don't really need that, per se. So it's all, again, personal opinion, but my personal opinion is why? You don't need Molten Core for another week. Barely anybody's doing it anymore anyway. I mean, the queue times for Molten Core LFR are just horrendous as it is. And then you spend 3 hours in the actual raid because people don't know what the hell they're doing. Unless you get into some organized group, like I know Ro was organizing a group for his guild to go in and do it because he's, a pent hunter and an achievement hunter and stuff like that, which is totally cool. But those people probably actually know what the hell they're doing. Or at least are somewhat coordinated. I mean, I imagine the guild group is decently coordinated. So it's probably not that hard for them. I don't know. I don't see a big deal about keeping the anniversary open for another week. But according to this graph the MMO Champion posted, if I can find it, but they listed 10th anniversary participation. Now, of course, there are 3 events. There's Horde in South Shore, there's Alliance in South Shore, and then there's Molten Core. 60% of all players have killed Ragnaros. So, okay, most of us have done it, alright? But combined Horde and Alliance, only about 12% have done South Shore. Now, there's 2 ways you can look at that. You can either look at it as, A, the raiding population is huge compared to the PvP population, which is possible, or B, nobody cares about South Shore. There is no reward to go to South Shore aside from a title, which, big deal. Not a lot of people care about titles. But you throw in some gear in there, you throw in a once-in-a-lifetime mount, and people will go do it. Now, I personally think that South Shore was awesome. I loved it. I mean, it did not have the same feel as, like, the old world battle did, okay? Not even close. And it was laggy as hell, which I'm really, in hindsight, I'm kind of happy they didn't go 100v100, because that would have just been a mess for even the most top-end computer. But 40 on 40 or 20 on 20 or whatever the hell it is now is just a huge mess and a lag fest, which I can kind of guess is probably what it was like in vanilla too, honestly, now that I think about it. So maybe it was actually, legit. But I would like to have a battleground like that. Maybe not quite on that scale, and maybe not in that location. Although seeing Old Hillsbrad again was actually really cool. And although I am a Horde player, seeing South Shore still standing was actually kind of a cool moment for me. I liked it. But I would love to have a deathmatch style battleground. Just in the rotation of random BGs. Because we don't have anything like that in WoW. And since WoW is trying to be all esportsy now, what better way than to have a team deathmatch? I mean, you look at a lot of competitive esports games, not including MOBAs, because MOBAs have their own thing, but like FPSs, team deathmatch is kind of a big deal. Maybe not as big a deal as like search or capture or anything like that, but it still gets a lot of views. People like watching that because the whole purpose of team deathmatch is to kill and not die. And that takes a lot of skill, especially in a kind of a free-for-all environment. I'd love to see just a general BG. That's Terra Middle versus South Shore. I think that'd be super awesome. But we all know it's not going to happen. At least there's been no mention of it lately. Or ever. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I agree, Artemis. The title is cool, and I have it. But not everybody cares. In fact, half the time, I personally, even though I like getting titles, I run around without no title. Because that's more unique than actually having a cool title anymore. You see somebody, you come across a Torn Warrior and it says DTD. That's going to be standing out a lot more than a Dragon Slayer DTD, or DTD Champion of the Frozen Waste, or DTD Awesomest Tank Alive. Now, if they gave me a DTD Guardian of the Forum title, I would totally wear it all the time, and that would never change. Ever. So, let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll take a quick musical break after I take a drink, because, dry weather. In the wintertime, weather's all dry, nasty, and bleh, whatever. So the next item on the docket is Imperator Margok. Was released today in LFR mode. Now, normally, I don't get a chance to do much before the show. Because usually I'm getting home from work and then I'm hurrying up, prepping for the show, and then doing the show, and then right after the show, I raid. So, Tuesday's not a lot of free time for me. However, today, by chance or luck or whatever, I wrecked my car today on my way to work. I actually went in a ditch. Don't worry, I'm fine. The car's fine. Just a little ding is not a big deal. But that gave me some free time today. I actually had free time on a Tuesday. It was glorious. I got my LFR done on my Rogue. I went and did some stuff. I actually remembered to get all my seals for... Crap. I got them for my Rogue. I haven't got them for D yet. I need to go get them before raid, because I always forget them. Anyway, I had the chance to go and do Imperator in LFR today. And I had a couple guildies with me. Shoutouts to Zula and Lol. Always fun to hang out with. But we went into LFR. And, of course, all three of us have actually downed Imperator on Heroic. So we're not new to the fight. We know everything there is to know about it. Except for Mythic mode, but we'll get there. Don't worry. And we go in there, and we're actually sitting there, we're following mechanics. We're doing basically what our guild does when we take on Imperator. Even on normal mode, we follow the same strategy that we do on Heroic. Of course, it's a hell of a lot easier, but we do the same thing. So we're sitting there, and we're DPSing, we're running out of traps, we're taking down the ad, we're going to kill the mages, and all this stuff. And we're like the only ones doing it. Now, this, of course, is no surprise, because nobody follows mechanics in LFR. Nobody. But it's just sad to see, because on normal, even on normal mode, it is easy to wipe on Imperator. In fact, our guild was stuck on it for like a lockout. We didn't even get it down until the next week. Imperator on normal is like the first real challenge in raiding, and it's not even like that much of a challenge, but it's one of those fights that if somebody messes up, then you're going to notice it, and you could potentially wipe. If you set off a lot of those traps, you can wipe on it. If you don't pull the Reaver far enough away from the mages, you will wipe, as I've found out Sunday night when we did our casual run. Yes, even I make mistakes occasionally. But on this, the Reaver was just running around all mad. They actually were tanking all the small ads on top of the mage and all this other nonsense. And I think one guy died. One person died in that entire fight. Which was sad. It was sad to me. Because Imperator is supposed to be a difficult fight. Now, I'm not saying LFR's been difficult. LFR's never been difficult. But if you look even back to Siege or Throne of Thunder or like Heart of Fear, the final boss of the instance usually causes a couple wipes. Usually. Now this, when we did it today, was, within the first couple hours of it being released, so just about everybody who was in there was new to LFR version of Imperator. And you could tell nobody knew what they were doing. Traps being set off, just all kinds of madness and chaos, people standing in chaos, now to mention it. I mean, it was just utter madness. And nobody died. So that brings up the question, is LFR too easy? Well, of course it is. It's supposed to be. LFR is designed for people who don't want to really raid or can't, for some reason, can't really raid, although I don't buy that excuse anymore because it's super easy to find a group. I found a group on my Rogue after just digging 100 and went and killed at least the first couple of bosses before it got quote-unquote too hard and people couldn't do it. Even though normal's not hard at all. But maybe for the average raider, maybe it is too difficult. But you go into LFR, and it is harder to die than it is to actually follow mechanics. I have gone into LFR multiple times and simply tried to die. On purpose. And there are fights where I literally found it impossible. Butcher, another great example. And I'm sure all of you who have done LFR have experienced something similar. But with that Warthog up, people have pulled the boss and it has been downed without a single death. Without one single death. It's sad. I hope for the sake of the raiding community. Now, I'm not talking about people not being able to clear it. I don't want that. It's designed to be easy. But I would like to use my ideal usage for LFR is as a training tool for actual raiding. Proving Grounds kind of does it, but not really. I mean, there's not a whole lot you have to watch out for Proving Grounds. There's one amber globule thing you have to dodge. Woo! Oh my god, a guy's got a shield up. You have to get behind him. Woo! That's so difficult, and you see it so many times in Raid, right? But anyway, use LFR as a training tool, okay? Don't make insta-kill mechanics like on normal, heroic, or mythic mode, because that's kind of asking too much, right? Because you want to teach these people. But it would be cool if you gave people some sort of incentive. Some sort of incentive to actually follow the fight correctly, rather than just trying to die on purpose. Now, I'm not saying take gear away, but just add something else. You know those little rune stones we get in LFR? Why not give us a couple extra of those? Why not guarantee those on every boss that you follow the mechanics of? Why not give us 5 or 10 of them per boss? Because there's a lot of actual raiders that go in there and get those rune stones because, in case you didn't know, those things stack with flasks. They're kind of nice to have. Or give us extra gold. I mean, who doesn't need gold? Everybody always needs gold. I don't care if you're a WoW millionaire. You still need gold. Whether it be for the purpose of just having more gold, or because you're actually saving up for something, everybody needs gold. Especially with this buying game time with gold feature coming, everybody's going to want more gold. So why not give people who actually do the fights properly more gold? I don't see a problem with that, because it's not going to hurt anybody. Adding incentive is not going to hurt anybody. That's what LFR is. It's for those people who don't want to or don't have the ability to do actual raiding. So just give some sort of a minor incentive, but something that's big enough to where people actually want to do it, but not so big that, oh my god, you scrub, blah, 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 blah. Like 100 gold a boss. If you do fights properly on LFR, you get 100 gold per boss that you successfully follow the mechanics. That's not bad to me. I mean, that's 700 gold per run if you do the whole run perfectly. And on top of that, you're going to have lower run time for LFR. You're going to have better queues because people are actually going to be ready to do it. It's just going to be smoother overall. And on top of that, you're going to start training these people who don't have the ability to raid normal basic mechanics that perhaps someday they can jump into normal mode. Joe Brewer says LFR isn't for training, it is just a way to see the content, hence why they called it tourist mode. Please keep your hands in the car at all times and just enjoy the show. And I don't disagree with that. Don't make LFR harder, okay? Because for those people who just want to see the content, they just want to get through it and whatever. That's fine. I'm not saying that, Joe. What I'm saying is, for those people who actually do follow the mechanics, give them something extra. There's nothing wrong with that. I see no downside. Not one single downside. If you see a downside, please let me know. What harm could come if you got 100 extra gold per boss for following the boss mechanics properly? What harm could come if you get a couple extra rune stones through personal loot? No harm could come. Don't penalize anybody, but reward people who actually do it. You're listening to Sheep Moon on rivalcastmedia.com. We're going to take a quick musical break. When we come back, we're going to talk about my guild's raid progress and prepping for Mythic. Really just because I needed something else to talk about. We're going to listen to some more Killer Instinct soundtrack. Yes, we have to deal with the loss of actual sanctioned music, but we will deal with it by listening to cool stuff. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast archive of Sheep Moon, the greatest and best World of Warcraft podcast on the internet. Music has been removed so my ass doesn't get sued by major music labels. If you'd like to hear the music, you can tune in live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on rivalcastmedia.com. welcome back. That was TJ Combo's theme from the latest edition of Killer Instinct Season 2, which is awesome, by the way. A couple more things I want to mention that I forgot to mention at the top of the show, and I apologize for that. But there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that's just freaking crazy. Anyway, as you guys may know, around this time of year, we do a special event on Sheep Moon. For the third consecutive year, we are running the Podcaster Tournament of Epicness. Now, nominations haven't started yet, don't freak out. But I did want to give you a heads up. The first year we ran the tournament, I tried to do a little contest, and unfortunately it kind of fell flat on its face. And the second year, I just didn't try it at all. At all. Well, this year, we're going to do it again. But I've actually got stuff lined up already, and more stuff to come. So, for those who don't know, or who are new to the show, every year we do a Podcaster Tournament of Epicness. Basically what it is a March Madness style tournament bracket where you can nominate your favorite podcast hosts and they go on a voting battle and we determine who's the most popular or favorite podcaster in the land right now. Last year, the reigning champion is Coltrane. The year before that was Terpster. And this year, we could crown a new champion or see our first repeat. But the reason I'm bringing this up now is we are doing the brackets this year. So what's going to happen is once we have the bracket set up, I'm going to have an empty bracket for you to fill out. And you fill out the bracket on who you think is going to win each match. Whoever has the closest bracket and earned the most points, which will be determined via rules I'll lay out for you, you're going to win some cool stuff. And I'm not talking about just normal stuff. I'm talking like actual really cool stuff. I have a very good friend who's a real life blacksmith, and he's making some cool stuff. I'm talking to some other people about getting like actual cool stuff you're not going to find anywhere else. Trust me, you guys want to be a part of this. Get one of a kind stuff. It's going to be pretty rad. Pretty rad. So just kind of a little hype to build up. Nominations are going to start February 3rd. That's when you can start nominating your podcast host, and we'll go over all the rules and stuff for that later. The last thing I'm going to mention, and again, something I wanted to mention at the beginning of the show, but just totally fudged it up, is I am going to do a race. Now, I've talked about this a couple times on Twitter and within my guild and with a few friends, but I have developed what I am calling the Cannonball Run. Basically, what the Cannonball Run is a speed run through all raids in the game in order, starting at Molten Core and ending in Dragon Soul. And it's essentially a speed run. If you've ever seen like awesome games done quick or anything like that, it's essentially the same thing. This Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time, I am going to be racing against Lil Rex, who is a member of my raid team, also a streamer on Twitch. You should check out his channel, twitch.tv/LilRex2015. We're going to race, and it's going to be awesome. There's no prizes or anything really, except maybe some bragging rights, but that's about it. It's something that I really want to start doing because I am fascinated with speedruns, but I'm not nearly as skilled at most of these games to actually do it. But I think I can do it in WoW. And there's some tricks that I've developed that maybe will get me a decent time. And I've already got this timer made for the stream, and you can see best times and stuff like that. Although I haven't actually done the entire run yet. I've done each individual part, so I know it's possible on the character that I've chosen to do it with. So you can tune in, twitch.tv/LilRex2015 to see his side of the stream, or twitch.tv/DTD for my side. Sunday. This coming Sunday, which is what, the 10th, I think? The 11th, sorry. Sunday, January 11th at 1 p.m. Central Time is when the run will start, and it will go until one of us is done, or both of us are done. It's going to be a good time. I highly suggest you come check it out, because it's groundbreaking. I'm actually doing something new. Can we split screen so we can see both raids at the same time? Is that possible? That may be possible, but it would involve a third party. Like, somebody would have to capture both my stream and Lil Rex's stream and combine them together. Now, I know that there's some websites out there that do something like that. For example, during the EVO Championships every year, there's a website that you can catch all streams at once and watch them all kind of simultaneously. You can kind of select one to focus on that and hear the audio from that, but all streams are running at the same time. I just don't know how to do that. I'm kind of new to this whole Twitch thing, as you can see from my obviously professionally done overlay. But if it's possible, we'll figure out a way to do it. And if we don't get it done for this first run, then maybe it's something we can focus on in the future, or if other people want to be involved in it. It's just going to be, it's glorious. It's going to be fun. I highly suggest you come check it out. But that's all I really had to talk about. I swear, that's all the announcements I have today. I promise you. Promise. But our final topic of today is actually kind of a personal topic and something that I've been experiencing in-game, and that's raid progression. Now, this past lockout, nailed it. Horde side of Rexar US has finally cleared heroic mode. We finally got Imperator Margok down this last week. We actually did it minus a couple people off our main raid roster. One had in-laws in town from the holidays. One was having internet issues, like hella internet issues. So we did it minus a couple people, but we still got it done. And while it wasn't the greatest feeling I've ever had, it wasn't bad. Like, the Imperator fight, if you've done it on normal, it's the exact same on heroic. It's just everything hits harder. You can't mess up as much as you can on normal mode. Stuff will kill you. And it will kill you very easily. But the transition between heroic and mythic is something that I'm experiencing right now. Not since Wrath of the Lich King has my guild, has all the officers in my guild actually brainstormed a fight. Because this is something that we wanted to get back to. In Cataclysm and in Mists of Pandaria, we were fairly casual. We weren't pushing heroics. Like, hardly at all, actually. I think the last time we cleared something on heroic when it was current was Dragon Soul. And that was after everybody took a 3-month break to play Diablo when it launched. So it's been a while since we've been back in the progression race. And now we're at that point again where we're sitting down and we're analyzing fights. We're not just trusting one strat from one person. We're analyzing a variety of strats from a lot of different people. And you could make an argument that we're kind of going overboard with it because it's just Kargath. And Mythic Kargath, as far as heroics go, or Mythic fights go, is not that difficult compared to other fights. But it's different for me because this is something that we haven't done in a long time, and that's getting serious about raiding again. There's a huge difference between being an actual serious raider and just raiding for the lulz. Not lol, lols. Sorry, lol. I'll try to say something different next time. She always gets on my case about saying lol when her name is lol. It's weird. But anyway, it's a transition. It's a transition that you have to make for yourself. You have to start paying attention more to not only your specific class and what they need to do on each fight, but the raid as a whole. You have to start thinking about the bigger picture. In normal heroic, you can kind of just research what you have to do and kind of ignore everything else. But in Mythic, it's not really possible because you have to have more raid awareness and you have to be aware of what everybody's doing and what everybody's job is so you can kind of compensate for that. Here's a specific example, okay? Mythic Kargath. Mythic Kargath has some extra mechanics that you don't encounter on heroic or normal. For example, if you've done, I'm going to assume that you've done or at least watched a video of normal or heroic Kargath, okay? So in Mythic, the little tigers that are sitting in the pit that will instant kill you if you go in the pit, well, now they come out of the pit and you have to deal with them. How you deal with them is using the flamethrowers that spawn around the room that you normally drag Kargath in. You have to save those for the cats, because the cats fixate on somebody, and if they get touched from it, they're going to die. Very badly. But once they run into that fire, they get disoriented and start taking a ton of damage, and then they'll fixate on somebody else. But that brings up a new problem, because what do you do with Kargath at that point? You can't run him into the flames anymore, because what if you have no flames when a tiger's up? You can't kite that thing forever. It moves pretty fast. So now you have to develop a new strategy. Basically, what the new strategy is you have to have somebody that can either immune it, and you have to have some pally bubbles, or some other way to negate the damage that Blade Flurry does. So basically, you have to have a hunter deterrence it for however many seconds deterrence lasts, and then you have to put a hand of protection on them as well, just so they can soak the whole thing. Because you can't kite them forever, and if you do kite them forever, then your melee is going to start getting pissed off because your melee has to run around. They're not going to be able to do as much DPS as they normally could. So not only do I as a tank have to worry about positioning of the boss and all the other stuff that I normally do, but now I have to worry about, are these people going to survive? Are we going to have enough cooldowns to survive this Blade Flurry, and so on and so forth? It's a different mentality. It's a different mentality going into Mythic rather than just doing Heroic. Because when we started Heroic, it was just, same old thing. Because since Heroic is old normal mode, which is what we're used to running, we weren't too worried about it. Sure, we researched fights. Sure, we, looked at some strategies, but you could kind of take one strategy in Heroic and just make it fit to your guild. You can't do that on Mythic, at least not on Kargath anyway, because there are specific things that some raids have and some don't. For example, if you watch the Fat Boss video of Mythic Kargath, they talk about having boomkins up in the stands just to do massive AoE and stuff. We don't have a single boomkin in our raid. Not one. In fact, I think we only have 2 druids, a feral and a resto. So any strategies involving a boomkin druid do not work for us. Some raids, and this is highly unlikely, but some raids may not have a hunter, or may only have 1 hunter, or may not have a mage, or may not have some other class that can easily immune the Blade Flurry. So you have to kind of compensate for that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the bar that sets aside the good raid teams from the average raid teams, or even the good raid teams, the great raid teams from everybody else. Because you have to be able to tailor strategies to fit your specific raid, to match the people you have in your party at that time. You can't just go look up a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to actually come up with your own solutions for everything. And I have to say, after not doing it for 3 or 4 years, 3 years maybe, it's fantastic. It is a glorious feeling. This is something that I personally have missed in my WoW experience. Because this is something we haven't done in a long time. And I've forgotten how much I love it. It almost goes back to the days where you're trying a new boss, but there weren't any raid strats. There were no strategy videos back in the early days. Even in BC, there weren't that many strategy videos. You couldn't just go on YouTube and search for whatever boss you were on and find strategy videos. That didn't exist back then. Sure, there were some written guides on various websites, but some people don't learn well that way. So you basically had to go in there and figure it out for yourself. Assign people to have certain jobs. And another point that comes from this is having a set raid size. Something that's great with the Mythic system is now Blizzard can kind of compensate for certain class compositions, or having a near guarantee that they're going to have some sort of ability, especially with the quote-unquote homogenization of classes. They're going to have an ability and the means to overcome a certain obstacle. There's an old Dungeons & Dragons saying for Dungeon Masters. At low level, you can't throw specific things at adventurers, because they may not have the ability to overcome it, no matter what party composition they have. But when they get into high levels, when you're talking 15, 16, 17th level characters, which in D&D is really high, or at least it used to be. I haven't played 4 or 5 edition, so I have no idea. But in 3rd edition, say, having a level 17 character, you are pretty awesome. You could throw anything, absolutely anything, at that party, and they will have the means to overcome it. Because you can assume that they will have access to abilities they may not normally have. You can throw a magical trap at a bard that only arcane missiles can overcome, or whatever, or disable. And that bard will find some way to get through it, either through a scroll or a rod, or whatever. It's kind of the same concept. When you enter those higher tiers of rating, where higher skill and better players are the only ones that you're really catering to, you can throw stuff at them, and they will be able to find ways to overcome it. And you don't have to worry about it as much. I mean, it's still an issue. I mean, you can't throw an ability in there that requires, 6 hunters with deadly shot or whatever, barrage or whatever, to overcome. Because you're more than likely 6 hunters is not going to be a thing. But if you want to throw in something that you have to have a certain amount of dot damage, like old school Onyxia, when she was in the air, you had to have a certain amount of dots running on her in order for her to come down. That's totally plausible because you have multiple classes and you can nearly guarantee that you're going to have multiple people that will be able to overcome that. Whether it be bleeds, whether it be actual dots or whatever. It's interesting to see this again because I haven't seen this in a long time. I haven't seen specific encounters or specific abilities that require a certain thing to be available to overcome it. And I'm really pleased to see that with Kargath. Now, I have no idea how it's going to go because we haven't done it yet. We're going to attempt Kargath this week. We finally have our Mythic team set up. They're finally geared enough that we are confident to go in and give it a shot. But just having to chain all these immunes just to have the Blade Rush last so we can damage it and save those fires for the tigers is actually really awesome. And it brings me back to not just old WoW raiding days, but old D&D days. It's fantastic. That's just... It's not really important. It's just something that I found amusing and interesting, and I wanted to share with you guys. Because you're my friends. And I like to hear what you say about it. What do you think? I don't really even know what to say. If you have any opinions on that you want to talk to me about, let me know. shemoonblog@gmail.com. We'll talk about them on next week's show. We're going to take one final musical break. And when we come back, the only reason you listen to the show, Guardian of the Forums. We have some delicious choices. We'll get to those and your responses to this week's social experiment. What is your favorite quest line in all of World of Warcraft? New or old or otherwise? Let me know on Twitter at sheep_moon. DTD number 1339 on BattleNet. Email me, Skype at Kalemsai, whatever. Let me know. We're going to take this break with the soothing tunes of Maya's complete dynamic theme. You're listening to Sheep Moon on rivalcastmedia.com or twitch.tv/rivalcastmedia, but that doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast archive of Sheep Moon, the greatest and best World of Warcraft podcast on the internet. Music has been removed so my ass doesn't get sued by major music labels. If you'd like to hear the music, you can tune in live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on rivalcastmedia.com.
You ruined the game!
I'm kidding, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Should be banned!
Nerf mages! Add player housing!
Where's the dance studio?
I want a refund!
Silence, heathens! If you want to speak to Blizzard, you have to go through me, the Guardian of the Forums!
Yes, it's finally time for Guardian of the Forums, but only here on Sheep Moon. We have, let's see, how many do we have? We have a few, okay? We have a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have cinco many. Cinco! Alright, let's get on with this. First post coming into the new and improved Twitch chat right about now. This one's entitled, Why Have LFR at All? This is from Moradim, a level 100 Blood Elf Paladin from the Fenris server. Post goes a little something like this. Why not just put a slot machine outside High Mall, and if you happen to win, you get a piece of gear? 7 tries per player. Because what is the point of having a raid where you can literally, why is that word hard to say? I have no idea. Literally ignore everything and still win stuff. It's nonsense. I don't even care about doing it on alt anymore. It's just boring. Moradin, as guardian of the forums, I say to you, when has LFR ever been exciting? That's my question. I mean, sure, different strokes for different folks. I understand that concept, but LFR's never been hard. LFR has essentially been the most interactive and prettiest slot machine you have ever played. I must say that my personal experience with LFR is that it is the worst and tightest slot machine I've ever seen in my life. Ugh. I never get gear at LFR. On 2 alts, I don't run that dirty stuff on my main. I keep him away from there. But on my 2 alts, a Paladin and a Rogue. I've done 2 lockouts on my Rogue. I've done 3 or 4 with my Paladin. Can't remember. I've gotten a total of 5 pieces of gear. 5 pieces of gear the entire time. Horrible odds. Horrible. Actually, in slot machine terms, that's really not that bad. But still, it just feels so draining to me. But we've already talked about LFR earlier. It's the tourist mode. There really is no point to LFR except to give people a chance to see the content. And you have to give them some sort of monetary reward or else they won't go do it. I mean, look at Molten Core. Molten Core, you get a guaranteed helm, a guaranteed mount, and then a chance at a enchant transmog, isn't it? And a pet. The 2 most desirable things being the item level 6 to 640 helm, and the mount. Both of which are guaranteed. So what do you see? You see people run it once and then never touch it again. The only people that run Molten Core multiple times is either A, they're trying to get alts through it, or B, they're really into collecting pets and transmog enchants. That's it. There's literally no other reason to run it again. You run it one time to experience, quote unquote, what Molten Core was like in vanilla, even though it's not really how it was from what I understand. Get the helm, and get the mount, and then you're done. Imagine the queue times if normal LFR was like that. It would be terrible. Terrible, terrible. Next post from Guardian of the Forums. It's our mandatory I can't do Proving Grounds with Class X post. It's coming in the chat room right now. This one's entitled BM Hunters Can't Do Silver Proving Grounds. It might be the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. A BM Hunter can't do Silver Proving Grounds. But this is by Ryuko, a level 100 Blood Elf Hunter from the Kill Jaden server. Post goes a little something like this. It is impossible. We don't deal enough DPS. One crap AoE that takes half my focus won't help me kill 10 creatures within 30 seconds. Fix the damage or fix the Proving Grounds. Ryuko, as Guardian of the Forums, I say to you the same thing I say to everybody who posts I can't do Silver Proving Grounds post. Learn your class! Learn your class. Off the top of my head, and I'm not even remotely close to playing a Hunter full time. I don't even play a Hunter part time, okay? I know that you have Blade Toss, which is an AoE, Barrage, which is a hell of an AoE, Explosive Trap, and Multi-Shot. Plus, your Beast Mastery, so your pet probably has some sort of AoE like Thunderstomp. You have plenty of time. I'm guessing your issue is probably the same as everybody else. The Amber Globules, is that what they are? Amber Globules? And Interrupts, which you both have. If you really have that hard of a time doing AoE, then I don't know what to tell you, especially as a Hunter. I can understand some classes maybe don't have good AoE. Actually, I can't think of a class that doesn't have a decent AoE. At least enough AoE to kill those little bunnies. I mean, I've done Proving Grounds on 3 different characters. Warrior, Paladin, Rogue. Now, as a Rogue, I did it as Mutilate. I've always called it the Mutilate spec, but Assassination, which has the absolute worst AoE out of all the Rogue specs and one of the worst in the entire game. And I still did it. It's really not hard. I mean, I honestly, at this point, I just don't know what to tell these people. I'm about to the point, although not nearly to the point, but I'm about to the point that, hey, I'm just going to take every class and every spec and go do Proving Grounds and show you how to do it. But that means I have to level everything, and I really don't want to. There are like 5 specs in the entire game that I could think that would have a little difficulty in doing Silver Proving Grounds as damage. Here they are. Resto Shaman, Resto Druid, Holy Pally, Disc Priest, Holy Priest, Brewmaster Monk. No, not Brewmaster. The spitting spec, Mistweaver. 6 specs that would have trouble doing Silver Proving Grounds as damage. The thing is, they have their own Proving Grounds. If they're doing damage Proving Grounds and those specs, then they're going for the achievement. Tanks can do Silver Proving Grounds as damage fairly easily, actually. I mean, these are not hard. If you seriously, okay, I'm going to be honest. If you seriously want some help, and this is me putting myself out there as being a positive member of the community or whatever. If you are having trouble with Silver Proving Grounds with a certain class and spec, let me know, and I will coach you through it. I don't even play nearly all the classes in the game, but I know enough about all of them to help you do Silver Proving Grounds because they're that easy. Seriously, they're easy. I can tell you right now, for AoE, you've got a lot of options. Did I even say Explosive Trap? Because that's kind of a big option too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell these people. We get one of these every week, and for some reason, and this is kind of my own fault, but for some reason I always pick it out. I don't know why. It just baffles my mind that people are having trouble with Silver Proving Grounds. Maybe I am just, excellent at the game, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'll admit that I'm higher skill level than some of these players, obviously. But I'm nowhere near the greatest in the game. Nowhere near it. I know I say that a lot, but that's just me, stroking my own EP. Because I'm lonely. Yeah, that was kind of creepy, sorry. But I can coach. I'm fairly confident I can coach every single class on how to do Silver Proving Grounds. Fairly confident. Next post from Guardian of the Forearms, coming in the chat room right now. This one's entitled Garrisons Should Have Been Guild. This one is by Daydrania, a level 93 Night Elf Death Knight from the Doomhammer server. Post goes a little something like this. They shouldn't have been player strongholds. Okay. It should have been a guild stronghold that the guild could work together to develop. I'm not saying it should be like leveling where only high pop guilds could do it, but it should have been developed. Okay. It should have required guild development similar to what it does now with players. Doing missions could have dumped money into the guild bank. Perhaps with a few modifications, of course. It then would have brought guilds together, a place for guilds to hang out and work together on making the place shine. Monuments for guild achievements, stuff like that. A building for officers only. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. The mine, herb garden, and other map-producing buildings could instead have been only flasks and food. Consumables instead of every single map for every profession. Perhaps that would have lessened the impact on professions overall. It would have been much better received than what it is now, just my opinion. Daydrania, as Guardian of the Forums, I say to you, I think your information's wrong, because garrisons by far and wide are pretty well received, and pretty highly ranked, as far as fun things to do in Warlords. In fact, and Preach actually put this very well in one of his videos, and if you're not following Preach Gaming on YouTube, go do that right now, because you're doing yourself a disservice. But he said you can log into any guild at any time and see half the people in that guild in their garrison, because garrisons for most people are pretty awesome. Now, while I'm not saying that Daydrania is wrong, I'm saying maybe we can have our cake and eat it too. Now, imagine something with me. Put on our imagination caps, put on our legendary towel, and go on a ride with me into a possible future that could come to us in World of Warcraft. Let's say maybe not this expansion, but the next expansion. Blizzard has seen the success that Garrisons have brought to the game. And so they decide to do what any sane company would and expand upon it. So instead of next expansion, where you have a personal garrison that you're basically shut out from the rest of the community and only having access to guild chat, officer chat in some circumstances, general chat, and trade chat, your only connections to the outside world, essentially. What if they gave you a whole town? A town for your guild. Basically, garrisons on steroids. They give you an entire section of a map. I'm not saying have it be the size of Stormwind, because that's awfully ludicrous. But maybe, what's a decent sized town? A decent sized town that could fit an entire guild. Okay, how about this? How about the central portion of Shattrath? Not counting the two Aldor and Scryer's wings, but the middle and lower city of Shattrath. That size area be a guild city, where it takes the garrison idea, but has your entire guild contribute to it. That could be cool. It would give you some social interaction with your guild, aside from, grouping up and getting together for invasions and guild chat. You actually get to see avatars in game again, which I think is something that has been lost over the course of the years. Is we no longer really see avatars anymore. We see names. We see text. We don't see the actual characters now. I couldn't tell you what anybody in my guild actually looks like. I could not pick them out in a crowd, except for maybe one or two. And that's because those are people that are really into transmog, like Lol. Lol is a forum MVP for plate mail bikinis. So she's really recognizable because she's always looking really different than everybody else. I could pick her out in a crowd. But Val, my best friend and GM Valentine, I could not pick him in a line of troll mages. Could not. Because I don't recognize avatars anymore. I don't recognize gear anymore. I couldn't tell you what high maul gear looks like on any class. Or any set. Plate, mail, leather, etc. I couldn't tell you. Because I don't notice it anymore, and I think that's something that a lot of people are not noticing as well. Now, I can see somebody's name and instantly, oh my god, yeah. And all of a sudden their personality just kind of floods into to my mind. Yes, Evil Bio in the chat says it perfectly. Instance of Warcraft. Everything is instance. Your garrison is instance. The only time you see other people is when you're going to an instance or you're inside an instance. And do you really see those people? Probably not. But if you give your guild a town that you're working together to build up, I'm not saying it fixes that problem, but I'm saying that at least you'll start seeing people again. And it could bring a lot of stuff back to the community. Community that has not been nearly what it once was. I mean, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. The WoW community, especially compared to other games, is really not terrible. But it's not what it once was. It has fallen far from its throne. Next post coming in the chat room right now. This one's entitled, How to Improve Warlords. Warlords of Draenor. Yes, misspelling is fun. Misspelling is delicious. This one's from War Commander, a level 100 Orc Warrior on the Bloodscalp server. Post goes a little something like this. I've been playing WoW since vanilla. Oh, really? Oh, this is going to be a fun post then. Do you do CrossFit as well? Are you a vegan? I love how anytime a vanilla player posts something, that is the first sentence. I've been playing WoW since vanilla. Or beta. Woo! Like we care. And I have always thought up ways to improve the game. While I have been bored with this expansion somewhat, there are some ways to improve it and keep people more interested in it. Since our garrison is a rather interesting design and important role, the following would be interesting to implement. A lot of I words in that paragraph. Holy crap. Alright. So he's got some bullet points. We're just going to go through these one at a time and comment on them as we get to them, all right? Regarding the forums, we're going to comment real time. Number 1, more garrison levels and slots. Give us more slots so we can implement more buildings such as the following. Okay, first of all, they've already said they're doing it. So, point number 1, taken care of. Yay, go Blizzard! Subsection A, a prison building. We can go around fighting members of the Iron Horde. And if we come across officers or individuals with high rankings, we can either imprison them or kill them. Then, yes, the wrong man. Then, we can turn them into spies for more missions and rewards. Basically the Nemesis system from Shadows of Mordor. This is not a new idea. It's a cool idea, don't get me wrong, that would be awesome. But not new. Somebody likes Middle-earth. I do, says the guy who named his daughter Arwen. Subsection B. Meeting room connected to the room with the map for follower quests. Requires level 4 garrison. And this can be used to do a joint mission with other individuals to join either PvP or PvE missions. The leader would host to allow other individuals to go into his garrison and do the missions. I don't really think that requires an extra room. I mean, you could just invite somebody to a party, have them come see your garrison, and then just do all your strategizing around your table in your main building. I don't think it's necessary. It's basically just RP flavor. Which, I mean, whatever. Subsection C, slave labor building used for people who refuse to fight for us that are in prison. This will give us profession materials, etc. I'm going to go ahead and say no, because racism is a thing. You honestly think that having a slave labor building is going to be very PR? Do you think that Blizzard is insane enough to even think about doing that? Come on, man. Yeah. Yeah, no, never, no. Option D, gym. A gym. Our followers can be placed in here to take a break from missions and trade trait to build up eye-level weapons and armor. So basically, you want to level up your followers for essentially free. No. At a certain building level, they automatically go to the gym when they are done with missions or not being used. Brings me to my point that missions should also increase chance based on eye level, not just high mall missions. No. The mission system's actually pretty decent. Number 2. Oh my god, we're finally to point 2! Oh, wait, I have a sounder for this. Finally, we progress through the post. Garrisons should be used for PvP and PvE. Implement Garrison Challenge, Garrison War Quest for PvE and PvP. People can fight each other's garrisons 1v1 or in teams. Improve the PvE functions of the garrison. Individually or in teams, people can gather up to 5 of their followers to fight various PvE bosses for rewards. No. I mean, okay, it would be cool to have your followers come with you, aside from the bodyguard ones that already do this, essentially. It'd be cool to make a party or a raid team of your followers to go do certain content. I'm not saying that's not a bad idea. I'm just saying that we already have similar systems to this with the bodyguard system, which I'm sure they're going to add more to. That I don't see a necessity. And as far as PvP, there's no point. Why would you want to fight somebody 1v1 against a PvE army? I mean, you have to understand this. Yes, you're going against somebody that's player controlled, but it's still using AI. Think of it this way. If you're playing League of Legends and you're 1v1 against somebody, it's still going to be you versus the other guy. And your little followers or your little army, that's just going to be the creep. And it's going to be insignificant. Honestly. All you'll be able to do is push a tower. Whoop-de-doo. That's not interesting gameplay. You basically want to turn WoW into a MOBA. We have enough MOBAs. Blizzard already has a MOBA. We don't even want a WoW. WoW is not a MOBA, nor should it ever be a MOBA. Thank you. Option 3. Improve PvP by creating a goblin NPC that allows players to place bets on themselves to win, and the gold is split between how many players are. Only wins. Maybe this could be an added function for a level 3 Coliseum for people who build PvP buildings. No. Basically, you want dueling where you can bet on it. While not the worst idea I've ever heard, it's certainly not one that I think is going to... It's easy to gimp, okay? Let's say, for example, you have a kid crying in the bathroom, and you can probably hear them now. No. Let's say, for example, that you are going to do this, right? All you have to do is communicate with the other player and say, hey, let me win. I'm betting on myself. I will split the gold with you. It's really easy to cheese that. So no, that's a horrible idea. No. Just flat out more PvE objectives in the high-end levels. Yeah, let's not elaborate on that. Because I think the more you talk, the more worse it's going to sound. I actually agree with that one. It's never bad to have too many options. Right. Let's see. Bring back reforging. No, we're just going to skip that. No more reforging. Yeah, the item system right now that we have is not ideal. But reforging basically was only there so you could monitor your hit and expertise cap. Now that it's no longer there, it's no longer needed. We actually have best in slot equipment again. Oh my god, we have reforging for like 1.5 expansions. Now all of a sudden we need it? No. Guess what? The game was just fine before we had reforging. You just actually had stuff you were going for. It was not a difficult concept. Allow players to create customizable missions in a level 4+ garrison. No. God, no. Did you ever play Neverwinter? Did you ever? Oh my god. So Neverwinter is a Dungeons & Dragons MMO that was released a couple years ago, maybe. It actually wasn't bad. But the thing was that they enabled player-created content. Basically, you could be an old-school DM and create a dungeon for people to spelunk through. Guess what people did? I'll give you 3 guesses on what people did. Okay, your first guess wrong. Yep, that's not right either. What they actually did was players would create dungeons for the very simple fact of... the purpose, the sole purpose, I don't know why words are hard today, but the sole purpose of just exploiting XP. You could go into a dungeon that was a 10-foot by 10-foot room, right? It was just one room, and it had 150 monsters in it. And all you had to do was kill all the monsters in there, and you got a bunch of crap for it. Giving players control over content is going to cause a lot of exploiting and a lot of blatant cheating. You can't do that. That's bad. No. The final point. Bring back the use of multiple potions from vanilla in battle. Okay. Yeah, I like that one. 2-minute cooldown on a potion? Yeah, why not? It was more interesting. But that also was back in a time when mana mattered. Now the only thing that matters for mana is for healers. And I actually don't hear a lot of healers going out of mana these days, so that's not even really an issue. One final post for Guardian of the Forums. This one's coming in the chat room right now. It's entitled, So Who Is Right? This is from Green Bow Wow, a level 43 Worgen Druid from Emerald Dream. My old server. I've not been impressed with people from Emerald Dream. Kind of why I transferred off of there. Post goes a little something like this. I come to you now in these times, fellow gamers, to ask a question. The question is, who is right? The gamers who have put in time and played a game from level 1 versus the quote-unquote reviewers who may not even play the game at all except when given the no holds barred. What? It's supposed to be no holds barred, but they put no holes barred. Nope, no holes will be barred in this station. The no holds barred pass from the MMO producers, as well as cash to advertise well for the company. I think the choice is clear when we start to lay out the facts. This is a new world. It has been the Wild West. We are the founding fathers in these times. We as gamers have to lay our own path to making our voices be heard. This is not a condemnation of WoW, as in my personal opinion, it is one of the few complete MMOs that exist. And I say this from having played all the big titles since around 1998. In the days and months ahead, I think I will work toward giving us as gamers a new review system, as well as a transference system, where we can essentially get perks in all MMOs that we play for the amount of time invested, proving claims accordingly, of course. Some food for thought as I depart at this time, and they give a link to Metacritic. No. How exactly is it that WoW rates as a 93% as... Wow, D, come on! Talk, dork! How exactly is it that WoW rates a 93 from the reviewer side of the tracks, when on the user side of the HUT, it only rates as a 71? In my opinion, the only one that really matters anymore is the user side. The reviewers have been given too many perks to the point of corruption of information, which should be a crime. Good Greeblings, Warlord Grebo. Yep. Damn, you're twice as stupid, twice as entitled. I think to beat you, I'm gonna have to take it up to the next level.
Super Guardian.
This is something I want to say to the community at large, to the population of the world at large, okay? And especially this Bow Wow, which is okay, I'm not going to say an opinion on that, because maybe he thinks it's awesome. It's not. The only opinion that matters is your own. Do not base any purchase or any critique that you have on a thing off of somebody else's opinion. This is just facts of life, okay? If you want to go and like Nickelback when the rest of the world hates it, then go like freaking Nickelback. If you want to like a video game, even though every reviewer loves or hates it, doesn't matter what they think. It only matters what you think. If you like playing Barbie the Purple Princess, then like playing Barbie the Purple Princess. I don't even know if that's a real game. Whatever. If you want to sing Frozen and listen to, like, some stupid band that I can't think of right now, Starship, if you want to listen to Starship, go listen to Starship. Who cares? It doesn't Metacritic, in my personal opinion, is the most useless website on the planet. Because I don't care what other people think. I literally do not care. I will like what I want to like. If I want to drive down the road and listen to Pink, Just Give Me a Reason on full blast on repeat, then I'm going to listen to Pink, Just Give Me a Reason on full blast on repeat. And nobody's going to tell me otherwise. Which is a beautiful song, by the way. Whatever. It doesn't matter how much money reviewers get. And you are sitting here saying that every reviewer has basically been bought off. That's not the case. I can think of a handful of quote-unquote reviewers that are scandalous free with certain titles. Everybody's got to take a paid promo every once in a while. If somebody wanted to give me money to sponsor a Sheep Moon show, I'll do it. I'm not going to lie. I will take money. Will that color my opinion of said person? Maybe. Would I advertise a product for that person? Maybe. Would I critique a product of that person? Absolutely not. Because my opinion's been colored by the changing of money. If you want to hear more about this, follow Total Biscuit, follow Boogie2988. There's a lot of bigger names than me that know a lot more about it than I do. But it's irrelevant, because the only opinion that matters is yours. Don't base what you like off of what other people think. If I base what I liked on what other people think, I'd be listening to country music, driving a truck, and not playing video games. At all. That's not a life I want to live. I want to listen to metal. I want to listen to pop. I want to listen to rap. I want to drive sports cars in the winter even though they go in the ditch. My choice. my life, my free time, my money. And that's how it should be for you. That's it for Guardian of the Forums today. Let's close out this show, shall we? Today's social experiment was, of course, what is your favorite quest line in all of WoW? I can't exactly remember what spawned this question. I think it was a discussion that we had last night on WoW Uncensored, which is up on the website, by the way. You should totally go listen to it on rivalcastmedia.com. When we got into talking about my personal favorite quest line, and I'll tell you what it is later. But let's get into the responses because there are a lot of them in a lot of different places. So this is going to be kind of messy. Haster says Wrathgate. Enough said. Wrathgate was rather awesome, and we'll never get to experience it again. At least not the ending of it. Sadness. Trick Nickel says, my favorite questline is the Battered Hilt. I like how they incorporated Burning Crusade into it with purifying it in the Sunwell. See, that's one of the few questlines I have not had a chance to do yet. I have not found a Battered Hilt, and I've actually spent time farming it. I've never got it. The Pit of Sauron is like my home base at certain times. So, damn thing still hasn't dropped. And it's never on the auction house either, so I can't just go buy one. I can't cheat it. That sucks. Anyway, check Battle.net. No. Check Skype. No. Let's go to the tweeters. If you guys have one in the chat room you want to pop up here, just go ahead and pop it up and I'll read it. Let's see. Well, man, we got a ton of... Okay. Moo Guyver, my fellow from down under, says the Crusader Brindenbrad. I can never say that guy's name. Story. Still brings a tear to my eye. Adal, fear not, young one. This Crusader shall not taste death. In life, Brindenbrad was the bearer of great deeds. Now in passing, he shall taste only paradise. The light does not abandon its champion. All the fields. I do remember that questline. That was awesome. And the thing is it wasn't even like one of the major storylines. It was, it was, but it wasn't something that had like a big cinematic or a big event happen. It was just the subtlety of it is what really got me. It was super awesome. Joe Brewer says, Fave has to be collecting bear asses in Grizzly Hills. Reminds me of Blue Please and TB ranting on the quest back in Wrath. Yeah, I remember that. TB's rants on anything were just glorious and epic. I miss that guy. But, he's in a better place now. It's not like he died or anything, but you know what I mean. Rose says, the quest line for Quel'Dalar, the Battered Hilt, is tied for my favorite with the Greenfire quest chain. Of course, two of his favorites are both I have not done. At least I can do them, it just takes some time. I actually, the more I hear about both of those, the more I want to go do them and experience them for myself. Oh, I can't wait. Jim R on Twitter says, well, it was a big quest. The Ahn'Qiraj war effort fell to open Ahn'Qiraj. That's something I really wish I could have experienced. I guess I had a chance. I could have transferred to one of those new servers that opened where the event still hadn't happened, but that cost money and stuff, and it wasn't that important. But I've seen the likes of it on YouTube, and that's good enough for me. Let's see. Krim IRL says, the Onyxia attunement chain for Alliance. Marshal Windsor marching through Stormwind to unmask Lady Prestor. I have seen videos of that, and that is awesome. It's something I would have loved to experience, but that also requires me to A, have played the game in vanilla, and B, play Alliance, both of which I have not done. So, Daggered on Twitter says, Hunter Quest for the bow and staff in vanilla. Tyrion's questline in Eastern Plaguelands in vanilla. The Kara attunement. I have done all three of those, and those were all awesome. I really enjoyed it. Kara attunement chain is actually what got me liking attunements, and why I'm a big fan of bringing those back. Tyrion's questline in Eastern Plaguelands, something that not a lot of people know about now, but it actually, again, one of those subtle quests that just had a lot of built-in lore, and it was really cool. Let's see. Lil Rex says, my favorite quest line is the one that ended my leveling experience and got me to max level. There's no Headless Horseman reference. Failure. Consistency has been broken. DOP83 on Twitter, one of my very good friends, says, best quest line is the Lincoln quest chain. Oh my god, Lincoln. The world-spanning basically spoof quest. It was awesome, wasn't it? It was very awesome. Let's see what we have from the chat room. Let's see. I remember the battered hilt. It always made me smile because it sounds like it's been deep fried from the axe one. Yeah, it's funny. Velvet Death says, "Welcome to the machine makes me smile still." The whole chain in Silverpine Forest, where you see the whole backstory of the bosses in Shadowfang Keep. I actually yelled when Sylvanas died. Those are both really good, and in fact, I remember doing the Welcome to the Machine in the beta for Cataclysm. And I actually made a video. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can still see it. It's really crappy, though. I don't recommend it. And, it is by far my favorite quest chain since Cataclysm. I love that quest chain. It's so simple, but so funny, and it's got a lot of funny references, and just the quest chain that goes on after that is actually one of the best in the game. But my personal favorites, I have two of them, okay? And I know I'm forgetting some, but there's two of them that if I could have back, I would have them in an instant. One was Berserker Stance for Warriors, where you had to travel all around and you ended up going to this island off the coast of the Barrens over by Ratchet. And there was this island and you had to do like this gauntlet arena type thing just to get Berserker Stance. I thought was super awesome. But my all-time favorite quest line ever of all time, and I mentioned this last night too, but I'm going to talk about it again because it is the best. And that's Helcular's Revenge, which was in Old Hillsbrad. Basically, you found the staff of this old mage who had died. Excuse me. You go around and do the stuff for him. You end up resurrecting this mage, and you have to understand, Old Hillsbrad was what, like a level 20 to 30 zone, roughly? I mean, it was a fairly low-level zone. This dude spawned as a level 45 elite. And what did he do? He walked from Terran Mill down to South Shore and just started wrecking people. Oh my god, it was glorious. Never in my life have I experienced a quest like that. In any other MMO, in any Dungeons & Dragons campaign, anything. That quest line will stick with me forever. And I miss it so. It was so good. Even though vanilla WoW didn't have the technology that we have today, didn't have the storytelling elements that we had today, in some cases, that subtlety is better. And I kind of miss it. But that's it for today's episode of Sheep Moon. Thank you for tuning in live for the first time back on Twitch. I think it went okay. I think it went fairly well. I don't know what you think, but hey, we made it. We didn't have any major crashes or nothing. High five, everybody. We'll be back next week when hopefully there will be some news to talk about. Blizzard's been quiet over the holidays, so we'll see what they've got going on. So anyway, keep in touch, will ya? Follow this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/rivalcastmedia. If you want to see some other stuff, you can follow my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DTD. Follow me on Twitter at Kalemsci, follow the show at sheep_moon, add me on Skype at Kalemsci. I'm always free to chat. And if you're looking for an awesome guild and maybe want to get some raiding in, Rexar US, Horde side, the guild nailed it. Take anybody, just come hang out, have some laughs. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay proud. Don't break the sheep. You've been listening to the podcast archive of Sheep Moon, the best and rantiest World of Warcraft podcast found only on rivalcastmedia.com. You can catch the show live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central, with a lively musical pre-show kicking off 1 hour prior. I love to hear from listeners, so post on our forums on rivalcastmedia.com, leave a rating and review on iTunes, or give a thumbs up or down on Stitcher Radio. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you at the live show next week. Don't break the sheep.